Hello, everybody. My name is Becky Draper, and I'm a Vedic astrologer and Ayurveda health coach, and I help people align with the rhythms and cycles in nature. And today we are going to talk about Mercury moving into Pisces on April 10th. So when Mercury, the planet of information and ideas, moves into Pisces, the sign of being mystical and dreamy and a little bit illusional and watery. It's actually where Mercury is considered debilitated, and this makes Mercury a little bit more susceptible to false information or falling for delusion. And when we're at a time where we've already seen a ton of misinformation and it's hard to decipher what's real and what's not real. When Mercury moves into this place as a whole, it's going to get even more confusing, and the fog of war is going to be even worse. And this is going to make it so that communication shuts down and people are not really sure what's happening, what's reality. And now some people have Mercury here in Pisces, and this actually will make someone really creative, and they will think outside of the box, and they'll be able to see things that other people won't see. And so sometimes having Mercury here can actually be a really good thing. And so during this time, you can utilize it by allowing yourself to be a little bit more into that like mystical world, and maybe allowing yourself to see something you haven't been able to see. But in general, this can be really disruptive. And then on top of that, we have Jupiter in Gemini right now. And Gemini is ruled by Mercury, and Pisces is ruled by Jupiter. And so Jupiter and Mercury will be exchanging signs for the next 2 weeks as well. And I've talked a lot about Jupiter's transit, and whenever we're looking at big karmic cycles, we're looking at Jupiter and we're looking at Saturn, because they are the slowest moving planets. The rest of the planets move actually rather quickly, just like the sun. But Jupiter takes about a whole year to go around the zodiac, and Saturn takes about 2.5 years to go around the zodiac. And so wherever these planets are, those are like the bigger karmic cycles that we're working through. And Vedic astrology doesn't try to predict anything. It tries to capture more of that like karmic vibe and that like karmic lesson that's unfolding. And the way that we do that is by looking mostly at Jupiter and Saturn and the nodes. And I've talked very extensively about the last eclipses, and I think that this also plays a huge role in the way that the war has been playing out, and the way that the world is like starting to completely realign itself. And I think that all has to do with the last eclipse cycle that we had. But Jupiter being in Gemini and retrograding, we're like revisiting all of the lessons of like not facing reality, not taking in the information. Because when Jupiter is here, Jupiter has to question its own beliefs, and nobody really wants to question their beliefs, right? We want to like blind faith. We just want to believe. And when information comes in that challenges this, it can be really difficult. And we can either, embrace it and have to like work through the discomfort of like realizing that we were wrong, or we will push it away, we will double down. And then this creates like a falsehood, and where you're like unable to see the truth. And with Saturn here in Pisces with Mercury, this is showing that the world that we knew will never be the same. And it's all based on these like karmic cycles that we've been having to face. And so this is just another part of that cycle where the world is completely realigning itself, and the world that we once knew no longer exists. And we have to face the reality of that, and that's what Saturn's kind of showing us here in Pisces. But with Mercury being like delusional and being with Saturn, and Saturn putting pressure on Mercury to like face reality, even though Mercury can't really quite decipher what's happening when he's in Mercury. And then Jupiter is struggling because he's retrograding and revisiting these lessons of the truth that is very uncomfortable, that many of us really don't want to see. And so this is only going to make it even harder for us to really face the truth and get to the truth, because everything's going to feel very soft and squishy, and we're not going to really have like a hard line of that reality. And that's because we're entering territory that we've never been before. And this is hard to predict because we've never been here. And so nobody really knows what this like new world is going to look like. And you're going to hear a lot of people's ideas about what they think the world is going to look like. And I think it's fine to listen to people, but the reality is that nobody knows how this is going to play out and how this like new world is going to emerge. But I can tell you right now, this is the dissolving of it. And this Mercury exchanging signs with Jupiter, with Saturn, is kind of that last piece of just completely unraveling the whole story. And everything at this point will just feel like mushy. What is real? What's happening? Is this can't be reality. This can't be what's really happening. And it is. And we have to learn how to start to embrace it and move forward with that new reality. So I'm going to leave this here. If you want to get your chart done and look deeper into how Mercury works in your chart, or where Saturn and Jupiter are at in your chart, to understand your deeper karmic cycles, then please shoot me a message, and I will see you in the next video.